As a neurodivergent, black and white thinking comes second nature to me. It is a commonly observed trait among neurodivergents, and it can lead to a lot of cognitive rigidity, meaning we tend to get really stuck in gear and we perceive things in extremes or binaries, and we can only do one or the other. And I believe it is in part a coping strategy. It is as part of our neurotype as it is a result of stress, chronic ongoing stress, if not trauma. Black and white thinking helps us simplify a very complex world that is often threatening into these binaries so we can pick safety rather than danger. And it is reductive, but as a knee-jerk reflex, it can keep us safe. So choosing to not go to an event instantaneously when somebody invites you because you know danger, you're going to get overwhelmed, social overwhelm, sensory overwhelm, you're going to struggle to interact socially, you're going to want to withdraw, you're going to maybe have a meltdown. That's kind of like an instantaneous decision you arrive at as a result of black and white thinking, and your response might just be no, straight out. No considerations of alternatives. For example, maybe I could wear earplugs to cut down on the sensory overwhelm. Maybe I can attend for a short period and just interact with a couple of people, smile at 3 people, and then go. There are compromises, there's gray, there's somewhere, in between that you can compromise toward. But if you tend to default to this cognitively rigid black and white thinking, you're probably not going to consider those alternatives. You're going to want to jump to a quick answer, a quick solution, and move forward. And it can be very efficient because it takes a lot of cognitive load to consider all the ways you can cope or manage this stress or manage this uncertainty or ambiguous situation and the stressors it might bring. If you're willing to expend that cognitive energy, you can probably find some alternatives and coping strategies or manage the uncertainty that that situation presents. If you tend to fall into black and white thinking, you might be very quick on the draw to judge, classify, exclude people. You might perceive them as a threat when really they're not necessarily being threatening. Somebody might make a joke and you've had previous negative experience of people mocking you and being sarcastic, and you assume that their sarcasm is directed at you, so you shut them down or you shut them out. And there's nuance there that's being missed because you're reflexively falling back into this binary thinking. You might also foreclose on possibilities of friendships or attending events that could be enjoyable because of this desire to self-protect. You might not pursue certain career paths. You might not undertake studies. You might not choose to pursue relationships with people. And maybe you've saved yourself the ambiguity of where that situation could lead you. But as I like to say, life is an arena, and it's like a boxing match. You go in there and you get punched a couple of times, you get clipped, you get grazed. But at the end of the day, there's a possibility of winning. No punches, no prizes. If you revert to black and white thinking, if you close down on all possibilities preemptively without considering alternatives or looking for the gray in between the black and the white, you lose out on wonderful opportunities often to succeed, to make connections, to find new fulfilling ways of existing and being in this world. And I understand firsthand the desire to want to shut down and to protect yourself, but I also understand firsthand what you lose in the process, the possibilities that could open up to you, the wonders that open-mindedness brings, that the willingness to explore, to loosen up and engage in humor, to live in the gray, live in the ambiguous situations can bring. My lived experience has taught me, after years of reverting to that black and white thinking, that life becomes very constricted. You lose a lot of the color in your life. Everything is literally in black and white. You can't see anything joyful. There's no color, there's no vibrance to your life because you're stuck in one lane and you're refusing to come out of that lane. You're following a very rigid routine. You're not going out impulsively to socialize with people. You're not going to new events or new hobbies or new interests. You're not pursuing your passions. You're not going to, traveling and seeing the world. And yes, those challenges that you're expecting to show up, you're trying to protect yourself against because you're being responsible. The onus is on you to manage that, right? And nobody's going to necessarily jump in and help you. You can't expect that living in an ableist world. So yes, you do need to protect yourself, but there is a middle ground. And I think our journey as neurodivergents involves finding that middle ground between self-protection, exploration, joy, connection, living a life that's full, right? And meaningful. What have been your challenges with black and white thinking? Have you found a way to live in the gray? Have you pushed yourself out of a very cognitively rigid standpoint and experienced something interesting, joyful, curious, wonderful? I would love to hear all about your experiences.